Welcome, I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the BVTV network with my guest today being Victoria Prince. Many years ago, I learned an important lesson that today underpins our whole conscious agenda here at BizVision, and that is that everyone needs to learn how to put something back. Put it back into the pot, I was told. My guest today certainly does that, as she helps graduates set up their own businesses and grow their brands. She's a multi-award-winning entrepreneur. So let's pop across to Derbyshire and say hello to Victoria Prince. Hello, Victoria.
Hi, Malcolm. How you doing?
I love the area you're in. Derbyshire's it's just got something cozy about it. Everybody wants to retire there, don't they?
I've retired early then at 40, have I?
Yeah. Quite right. No, it is.
My feet up now.
It is a place everybody wants to get out of London and go to, isn't it? Fortunately, up here in Northumberland, we're just a bit too far away. People get a nosebleed going past Leeds, but Derbyshire's lovely to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very scenic. Yeah, at the very bottom of the Pennine Way, and there's so much good stuff going on.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Lots of excitement and so easy to get to some really very attractive places. Yeah, right. I'm delighted you're kindly guesting on. You're going to be on. You're on our BVTV Top Gun Sales and Marketing channel, and your network, the network that we have. This interview will go across various TV channels and podcasts because I think you've got a different and very inspirational story to tell. So, viewers and listeners, in this BVTV talk, I'll be chatting to Victoria in three parts: thinking about it, starting it, and growing it. First, I'll chat to her about what makes a winning idea for a business and what should be done at an early stage. In part two, we'll move to talking what makes a winning startup and how does someone build a winning team for that business and get it to market. And part three, we'll talk about the right ingredient needed to go from startup through scale up to brand and profitable success. But before that, Victoria, let's have a little quick introduction about you. Can you briefly introduce yourself to my viewers and listeners? Who is Victoria Prince? What's your backstory? What drives you?
Oh, blimey. Well, it's not a straight line. I can tell you that for sure, Malcolm. It's been a squiggle, like Spaghetti Junction. So it's been a mixture of working with bigger brands, airlines, Thornton's Chocolates, with an agency in London, and being at the heart of the marketing division of the businesses. Bigger numbers, bigger corporations, more red tape, and also the other side of the coin is having started my own businesses. Six businesses I've started now, sold 4, and really seeing that scalability from concept to running that business and seeing it flourish, which is like part and parcel of, like, I get really passionate about all of that. So it's a mixture of big brand marketing and entrepreneurial mindset, setting something up. And so that's 16 years since I graduated, with kind of melting pot of all of that inside, to where I am today, which is with Touchpoints Marketing and helping businesses of all sizes. And like you mentioned, the side that I do, which is the graduates, helping them go from their marketing degree into setting up as consultants and working out that path.
Yeah, fascinating. And one of the things I was just sort of thinking as you were chatting about your past is, wow, change happens, doesn't it? You were at Thornton's, and look what happened this week. All the shops have closed. What a dramatic change there. Were you BMI baby?
I was at BMI Airline. And then made redundant from there. So these things like
I was Thompson Holidays and Britannia Airways, and they've gone as well.
Wow.
It's the constant change, isn't it? That's the exciting bit about it. You know, and obviously marketing has been a huge change in this last few years, but possibly even faster change in the last 9 to 10 months, do you think?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, with Corona, like literally everything is changing, isn't it? No matter what industry you're in, what area of the business you're in, everything is changing. I mean, I was out for a walk yesterday and I saw a little lady, one of my neighbours, she's 90 years old, and she literally said these exact words. She said, "Nothing stays the same." And I thought, wow, you know, it's lessons like that you can put into anything, can't you? Like normal life, business. But it's true. It's really true. And like you say, yeah, the same old just won't work anymore.
It just won't work out. And that's where I think I want to focus a lot of our talking, because you're very innovative and dynamic. And well, you know, and there's too many people who hit head in the sands. So let's kick off our chat in part 1 about what makes for a winning idea for a business and what makes it attractive for funding. What should be done at an early stage? Now, I'm not talking about the usual checklist that a bank or a chamber of commerce would throw out or chuck out. You know, I'm talking about what makes you sit upright about an idea or a concept, and how does it go from that idea to be ready to start?
Oh, well, I think sometimes it's a little bit like the X Factor TV program, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
You can't quite put your finger on what it is, but you know if something's right.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's about putting a few things down on paper that might not be that, like you say, the actual checklist, but it's about just running the kind of some rough numbers, thinking about, does that sit right? Is it right for this current climate? Is it, you know, who is it? Who would it be targeting? You know, just like an initial brainstorm, really. And then from there, if you think it's got legs, then you start to kind of delve a bit deeper and do a bit of research and, you know, speak to some people and then start to kind of formulate a bit of plan off the back of that. But I think up to that point, it is, you know, it has to be a gut feeling.
Yeah. The Greeks call it thrasos, that gut feeling, you know. It will work, it won't work, you know. And I suppose at a certain age, we've all sort of won T-shirts and shredded quite a few, haven't we? As we've gone along. There's something though that a graduate comes along with an idea. There's something that makes you sit upright, though, isn't there? Go on. Have you got it?
Have I got what? Sorry, say that again.
What's going to make you sit upright with that idea? Go on. What is it?
Oh, when a graduate comes to me, well, generally it's because they are setting up their consultancy. Yeah. So they're all following a similar path, but then they have their own roots in what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, whether they're going into focusing on social media or strategies or email marketing or something. But I think talking to them, like you say, that spark of something, you can tell if somebody's going to hit the right notes with their customers, because if they've got that enthusiasm and spark, then brilliant, you know that they're going to be able to, they're halfway there. Whereas if somebody's kind of like, you know, not really that bothered, then you know that if they're not that bothered about learning about setting themselves up as a consultant, they're not then going to have that same passion for their clients as well. So I think from an initial conversation, it is, can I tell if this person is going to be right for it or not?
Yeah. So, yeah. It's almost like starting at the far end, thinking about their customer and what they're going to do for the customer, then working back, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And shaping that and having a mixture between the things that they're passionate about and also what the market needs. Because there's no point in thinking, you know, right now, I really want to get into fax marketing. No, nobody's ever going to say that, are they? But let's say, for example, somebody was really passionate about it. Like, you can't be wasting your time right now. So I don't know where that came from, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know exactly.
sure there's a
Yeah,
market for
yeah,
what somebody has a passion for.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're not going to make money. That's
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Point.
There's got to be a time though where passion has got to be quietened down slightly. You've got to be a little bit more pragmatic about making money, haven't you? At what stage do you like to bring that bit in about the possible profitability of their idea?
Yeah, and it's something that I kind of talk to them about from day one, because with students, one of the things they need to know is, how much am I going to earn? How much am I likely to make based
Yeah,
on, if I go and get a corporate job, how does being a consultant compare to that, when they're straight out the gate?
yeah,
And so I'm very honest and open about how much I think they can earn straight out the gate. And yeah, there is that, going back to what you said about the passion, there is certainly a balance when they're talking to clients about being passionate and being like, you can be passionate and professional, but then you can almost go to one way or to the other way. And I
yeah.
think the client needs to see a nice, healthy balance of both
Hmm.
within that conversation, for sure.
Excellent. Yeah. Victoria, before we move to part two, I'd just like to remind viewers and listeners of your website URL, which obviously viewers, you can see it's on the screen behind me. But for listeners, I'll better read it out, hadn't I? It's all the W's, touchpointsmarketing.co.uk. Let me say that again, listeners, touchpointsmarketing.co.uk. Victoria, time for part two. An idea, a plan, and funding is important, but it needs more than that to make the cake bake well. It needs commitment, structure, management, even people. What do you see as the essential ingredients of a winning startup? Or in other words, as an experienced entrepreneur, what's needed to get the thing rolling?
So on top of all of those things that you just said, because that was a nice, good list, I would say that there's the flexibility around all of that as well, because it's all right thinking, oh, this is great because I've got some funding and I've got the right people in place. But let's say, for example, something changes, you need to be able to either employ more people, reduce down your staff, get some consultants in, like change things, or go, okay, out of the marketing mix we have, this thing's working, this thing isn't. Okay, let's drop back on the things that are not working. Let's push forward on the things that are. So it's pulling levers, isn't it?
Yeah,
And working
yeah,
out what's driving things in a forward direction, what isn't, and being flexible enough and brave enough to stop some things that are not working. Sometimes you feel like, but if I keep going, it'll turn a corner. Well, sometimes it doesn't. And you definitely need to stop some things. I mean, take my last business, the Energy Ball recipe kit. That went from a Kickstarter startup, crowdfunding, to Selfridges within a year. And we've got Dragon's Den ringing a couple of times. We've got worldwide sales. It was doing so well, but it got to a point where I was at a crossroads. Do I carry on as I am, also running my marketing consultancy at the same time? Do I press forward with it, go to Cedars or Crowdcube and get some more funding, or do I stop and actually
yeah,
focus 100% on my marketing? And sometimes you need to stop. Sometimes you need to take all the learnings and go to that next level and stop what you're doing. And that was a massive, massive decision. Took me probably 3 or 4 months to really, run the numbers, look at a lot of things, speak to Cedars and Crowdcube, work out what's going to be happening, and work out, do I move forward or do I stop? And so I think within that list that you said, having the flexibility, but also knowing when to call it.
yeah, yeah.
Which is hard.
Yes, I know. I've done that many times. Yes, but you're quite right. You can't keep that old thing
Flogging a
going
dead
there. You
horse.
get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah, yeah. Get rid of it.
It wasn't quite a dead horse, but just the
please,
saying.
please don't tell my wife that strategy. Otherwise, I'll be out. Okay, thanks, Victoria. Now for part three, growing it and keeping it growing. I know there's no magic wand to growth in every business, in every sector. In today's altered world, I'm not talking about new normal. I think it's altered world. It has to carve its own success path. But what guidance do you like to give to your startup firm to be doing to give you confidence it can achieve and continue growth?
I think it's for the marketing mavericks who are the graduates. I think for them it's about adding to their arsenal of their like the courses they're doing, you know, constantly learning and evaluating what their clients need and adding to those skills for sure, whether that's through online learning, whether it's through networking, whether it's through, you know, when we can, attending events again, and just really absorbing all new technology, AI, as things change and evolve, like being at the forefront of all of that. And I think for the Mavericks, it's really important that that's kind of what they absorb, in order to stay current, to stay above the curve, you know, above the curve, and making sure that their businesses grow and evolve with time. And
Yeah.
believe it's
What sort of measurements, business measurements, do you insist almost that they do on a regular basis?
Monthly reviews are really important, and that's something that's part of the course that they go through, part of the program, and it's about tracking their numbers, tracking their income, their expenditure. I'm helping them with how to run their accounts, but also things like on their own social channels and things, looking at the numbers there, how they're growing those by the, you know, the actual social channels that are relevant to their audiences that they're targeting, and tracking those and seeing how they're growing and what differences, what activity they're doing that makes a difference, and then replicating or stopping if it's not working, but replicating if it is.
Yeah.
There's always some good measurements in
I'm quite excited about the future of marketing in this altered world, because, you know, I think in the UK marketing will come of age. When I'm doing all these interviews in America, it, you know, sales and marketing over there is to the forefront, isn't it? I think only just starting to realize in the UK that sales and marketing is a profession and it can drive the business. Actually, it brings in the revenue. There are no beans to count if there's no money coming in, is there? You know. But marketing, do you feel it's coming of age in the UK?
It's hard to tell, because when you're on the inside, that's all I've known for 16 years. So I think I've kind of felt like it's been there. I guess what you're asking is, do entrepreneurs and smaller brands feel that marketing is more important now than it was before? And I think as they see other people doing so well, they're thinking, I need to be doing this, and they might not realize that what they're doing is marketing, and starting to build a bit of a sales funnel.
Yeah.
So they're probably falling into it without realizing that that's what it is, as an umbrella term.
Yeah. I think in the past, you know,
I've not considered it before, but
yeah, I think in the past people thought that marketing was a bit of an alchemy, you know, that mystery stuff and everything like that, and the money was wasted. But now, you know, you can be very scientific about your marketing, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And tracking ROIs is a lot easier now than it has been before. You know, putting a newspaper advert out there 10 years ago was very different to now, when you've got measurable, trackable online ads, where you can see exactly where your money is going and who you're wanting to target, and it's not just blanket spray and pray anymore.
Talking about the future of marketing, as before before you chuck me out of Derbyshire, listen, where do you feel that it's going in the next 3 or 4 years? Obviously, you know, the investment that we made into our TV channels and our podcasts, we believe video and that will be a strong influence. Where do you think it's going?
Oh, good question. I think over and above what you've said is probably AI is going to be huge. I've had some clients who have AI as part of their main product, their service, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating to learn about the capabilities of that. And I think that will become something that is a lot more normal in our vocabulary and our day-to-day living and working and marketing world, rather than it kind of being this kind of like woo-woo stuff that's going on at the moment that nobody knows a lot about. And I think that is something that's going to become more prevalent as we go on.
Yeah, I also feel though that people who've got the skill set like you have can help people see beyond the borders. And I don't mean the borders of Derbyshire. I mean the borders of the UK. Last March, when we started doing this, we had no presence whatsoever in America, and we've now interviewed over 250 CEOs, leaders across America, and are strong in LA and so on. And that's all just within a year, actually.
Yeah,
that's awesome. a year today as we're talking, since
congrats.
Since the start of lockdown, yes. But it's seeing, marketing will let us go into these new markets and, get into those new markets very strongly. And I think that's the future for the UK. Again, what's your thoughts? Selling globally.
So are you thinking that because of the world that we're in, it makes us open up more to international markets? Is that kind of what you think?
I think the world has been shrunk by digital marketing.
100%, yeah.
And it's much more accessible, and as I'm sitting talking to you, I've been in Australia first thing in this morning, and normally I'd be leaving you and I'll be going across to LA, and that's sort of my day there, and now we've just been breaking into Nigeria, we've got Japan coming through strongly, and all of that is new markets, new opportunities to us all there. I just have a feeling that the people that you're guiding and mentoring and taking through are the ones that are going to say, they're going to say, there is no barriers. We can do business across borders.
Yeah, I think because there's two programs that I run. One is the CEO Members Club, and for that I already have members worldwide. I think when we're talking more specifically about the marketing graduates within the program, when I talk to them about how to physically set up their business, when they're in the UK, that's one thing, because I'm saying, like, for this element, you go to gov.uk. But then when you're talking about a worldwide market, it makes it very difficult, because then I need to have like every way that you set up your business for hundreds of different countries, right? So there is then a kind of a type of barrier there to be able to explain to them what their next steps are. At the moment, what I do say is, and if you're not in the UK, check with your government about how to set up your own business. So yeah, there's absolutely no barriers to giving them the information, because the information about how you market yourself as a consultant will be the same. But it's that the next level of giving them the tools and being able to go click on this link. If they're in France, if they're in Germany, they're going to have completely different links than what we have here. So I definitely think it opens things up, and it already is doing. But sometimes there's still those elements where you can't give everybody everything.
I understand.
Issue in the whole thing.
Yeah. But we've got to dream. We've got to dream. Sadly, it's time. I must be leaving Derbyshire and the 4-hour drive back to Northumberland. Well, zoom back. We may now be living in an altered business world, but we also have a new world of opportunity, especially for UK startups. However, to see and seize it, you need to have genuine entrepreneurial commitment. I trust that my guest today, Victoria Prince, has given you inspiration. Many thanks, Victoria, for a great interview.
You're welcome. Thanks, Malcolm.